Hello, and in this video I'm going to be going over my process for drawing the arms. So the first thing I do is I like to start off with the measurements. So for the measurements, I'm going to go back to the circle that I used for the chest area and going to go back to the measurements I used. And so for the upper arm area, so I like to just measure out the whole entire circle. So basically the upper arm should be almost the same length as this right here. So this entire circle. And that's the upper arm. Then that's the lower arm. So I like to think that the lower arm and upper arm sort of kind of overlap each other a little bit. And so for the measurement, guys, it's the lower arm should be slightly shorter than the upper arm. So it should be kind of close to this distance right here, if you can see this. All right, and then lastly, I have the hand. So the hands are normally smaller, and depending on whether your hands are open or not, the length may change. But normally, I like to keep it at least like 1/3 of this distance right here. So somewhere like right here. So this distance is probably equal to like the palm area. And then the fingers are, the longest finger actually is sort of kind of the same same length as the palm, but all the other fingers are kind of shorter. So it sort of kind of changes with the fingers because fingers bend. But just trying to remember the palm. The measurements for the palm. I think that's the main thing that matters. At least for the measurements, and that's most of the measurements for the arms. I want to go over the shapes that I'd like to use for the hand, and I call them like the little Pac-Man shape because they sort of kind of look like Pac-Man. So let me show you guys what I'm showing. These things right here. So this is how I think about the human upper arm. So this portion right here will be the deltoid. This is the humerus, the little bone that's in the arm. And this portion right here will be the elbow, and this will be parts of the lower arm. The lower arm is a little bit more complicated than the upper arm, so I will explain everything later. So just keep these shapes in mind. All right, so now I'm just gonna start drawing. These go over the shapes that I use in more depth. So if you remember last time I said I like to use this figure 8 pattern for the deltoids and the traps. So still keeping that pattern in. And this is where I go and I add in my first little Pac-Man figure right here. So this portion right here, you don't really have to draw. I just like it like this shape because it's easy for me to visualize a bicep coming out of this shape right here. Like it's easy for me to say, hey, yeah, this is something coming out of it. And it helps me put things together when I'm talking about the anatomy. So next, I want to go to the bone, the humerus. So here here we have the bone structure that's coming out of the deltoid, and then you can go ahead and kind of mark off where the elbow and the AC space is. And if you don't know, I just call this little space right here where the elbow, not elbow, but where the biceps and the lower arm sort of kind of create this little divot. So this is like the AC space in the front, then it's going to be your elbow in the back. And now that I got that, then I go towards the lower arm. And just know the lower arm has actually 2 bones, but right now I'm just simplifying it and drawing just 1 bone, because the structure to me doesn't matter as much, and also it's kind of confusing to explain those 2 bones. Just know they're the ulna and the radius, and they have and they sort of kind of cross over on each other when the arm is twisted. So that's help the arms twist. So now that I got the bones in, I'm gonna start back to the muscles of the arm. So for the muscle, in the front, when you're facing, when someone's facing you, you'll probably see the bicep a little bit more. And for the biceps, I like to use like that bean shape again, like this shape right here for the biceps. And it depends on like how like bulky the person is. Sometimes biceps will be like really big, sometimes they want. And also another thing with the biceps, sometimes like when your arm is when your lower arm is bending up, that's when like the biceps sort of kind of contract a little bit, and they make this like the bulge shape that biceps are known for. So, and also the triceps in that situation would be relaxing. And speaking of the triceps can kind of be visible during the front, but not as much. This little portion right here, I think is like your triceps like poking out a little bit. And since I mentioned the triceps, in the back, triceps are in the back of the arm, and I think they have a shape that's kind of like this. Let's see. So triceps, I like to think of the tricep as hugging the elbow a little bit. So you have like one part up here, then you have another part that's like right here, and then you have another part that's right here. So they're kind of hugging the elbow and like a little portion of the lower arm, and they sort of kind of have the opposite purpose of the biceps. So biceps sort of kind of bend the arm, the lower arm. It bends the lower arm up, and the triceps are, I think, responsible for straightening out the arm. So whenever you straighten your arm, that's your triceps at work. And then I think that's when they sort of kind of have their little contraction. They'll sort of kind of contract a little bit more and have this shape going on to them. I probably should clean that up a little bit more, but it's easy to see. Like, and erase this a little bit more. There you go. That shape. Alright, now that I got the biceps, the triceps out of the way, next I'm going to move on to the lower arm. So again, the lower arm is a little bit more confusing, at least for me, especially when I'm trying to draw it, because I'm not going to draw like the correct anatomy for the lower arm because it's really confusing. So this is when I go back to the little Pac-Man shape again, like this part right here. Again, this part isn't like an actual muscle structure, it's just me simplifying it. So this structure will kind of change depending on where the arm is twisted or not. Sometimes when it's twisted, I like to use like this shape right here, because like there's like muscles and bones overlapping on each other. So that's the shape I like to use when like it's twisting. And then I just connect it to the bone that these bones right here. And it's so I can have like a little swooping motion like this. That's most of the anatomy for the forearm. Oh, and let me just go over the elbow. Just when in the back of the arm, just make sure your elbow isn't like completely smoothed out. You want it to show like there's like a little bony protrusion when you draw the elbow. So just try to make the elbow like pop out a little bit when the arm, when it's visible. Like just to give it like some kind of like hint at it in some way, shape, or form. And it'll just help sell the fact that, you know, this is actually an arm doing things. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the basic structures that I use for the arm. Okay, here's a more in-depth, at least more explanation of what I mean by when I say I think about Pac-Man every time I do the deltoids and the lower arm, and it also helps with foreshortening of the arm. So let's say this is how it moves in space. Like if you're looking at it from like up close, this is the shape that I use. And as you can see over here, this is me like doing it with a foreshortening arm. And just remember when I'm starting off, always get the bone structure in first, like this. So on this one, I think the arm is coming towards me. So just go like this. Just so I kind of get like a little tube shape or a cylinder shape going like this. Then you have the AC space or the elbow right here. Then on top of that, we have the bones for the lower arm, and it's coming towards you, so it's going to be like a bigger circle right here. All right, so now that I got all that, guess all that was on the same layer. Anyway, I'll continue to explain. Now I get ready to go to place on the little Pac-Man shape. And I can just go ahead and paint on the biceps. And the triceps should be a little bit visible here. Just remember the arms are lifted here, so the biceps will be contracted. And And if the arms are straightened out, that's when like the triceps contract mostly. And so now I'm gonna move my way to the lower arm. So this is the elbow AC space. So over here, this is when I'll sort of kind of get the other little Pac-Man shape. Like this. And now that that's done, go ahead and connect it, smooth it out a little bit. Then that's where the hand should be, somewhere around here. And next I'm going to go ahead and just draw it all out in black lines. So just give it some more definite shape. Let's go to another layer. And then get the biceps in. And go sort of kind of hint at the AC space right here. Then get the lower arm. So I kind of probably should exaggerate that a little bit more. And now here we have like a little bit overlap because this one comes forward and that's pretty much it. Yeah. And that's how I'll approach drawing the arm in a more extreme, coming at you kind of way. Okay, so now I'm just going to do a couple speed drawings of my process. So again, before you start drawing the hands, just make sure you understand where your hands are. I'm sorry, not your hands, but your arms. Make sure you understand where your arms are going and what position they're in. Think about whether they're raised or lowered. Think about if they're bending forward or backwards. Because thinking about where the arms are going before you start is a good way to prevent yourself from sort of kind of messing up things. Then another thing I just want to mention, if you are drawing the hands, sometimes it's better to start with the position where your hands are and then work your way back to the body. Especially like when the hands are like holding something or the hands are in some kind of very difficult position. It's better to nail the location of the hands first, then work your way back. And I'll probably go there when I try to do review my process for hands. But that should be it for the arms. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.